September 2025. The excitement of the summer of 2025 began to wind down a little bit. Zerega retired NextGen 4065 on September 26th, leaving them with up to 9 NextGens listed here until they got 4044 from Stengel in October. Gun Hill used Manhattanville NextGens 4675 and 4689 as loans on September 22nd, which ran on the BX39 and BX22, which are typically Arctic routes. They also used 4681 as a transport bus. On September 25th, 4674-75 and 4690 were loaned to West Farms for the AM rush. It's cool to see that they're still doing that pattern. 2025 new Flyer XD60 6289, after being transferred from Stengel to Gun Hill, re-entered service out of Gun Hill Depot on September 4, 2025 on the BX22, paving the way for a brand new and bright era for the Bronx, Manhattan, and Queens. It went to West Farms, Kingsbridge, and Tuskegee through early September, not for service but for familiarization. 6289 was code broken to S89 on September 8th, ran on the BX12 Select Bus service on September 10th, ran on the Rodeo Shuttle on September 29th, and then went to NEBR on September 30th. Up to XD60 6374 have been built and are awaiting delivery. On October 2nd, XD60 6292 was spotted in Pennsylvania, on the way to be delivered to New York City. It arrived at Zerega on October 3rd and then was sent to NEBR on October 9th. 6290 to 6291 arrived at Zerega on October 10th, marking the official beginning of the 2025 XD60 deliveries. Flatbush received 3rd Gen 7027 and 7037, which went to Fresh Pond as a loan on September 24th and entered service on October 14th. Flatbush had 30 3rd Gens, roughly a third of the Orion VII 3rd Gen fleet, listed here. Casey Stengel used 2015 LFSs 8347 and 8443 as loans on the Q20 and Q31 on September 26th. XD60 6015 and 6020 ran on the Q90, formerly the Q48, for the U.S. Open on September 7th. On September 16th, XD40 7597 returned to Tuskegee, then went to Quill, so that 2019 LFS 8696 could go back to Jamaica. Jamaica has a remnant of 5 2019 LFSs left at the depot that weren't transferred back to Staten Island, those being 8696, 8699, 8705, 8710, and 8717. In early September, XE60s 4952-54, 4956-58, 4962 and 4964 from Quill, and XE40s 4992 and 5002 from Quill, 4986 from Kingsbridge, and 4975, 5008-09, 5020-23 and 5030 from Grand Avenue, were at NEBR's Ronkonkoma facility for repairs. As seen often, XE40s need a lot more repair than other fleets do. XE40 4977 experienced a small fire on the B45 on August 6th. Here were some other loans in September. We had some XD40s going to Far Rockaway, we had some Excelsiors moving between Brooklyn depots, and some XD60s being loaned to Kingsbridge again, and we had 4595-96 go to Fresh Pond for maintenance. Towards late September, there was a retirement scare at East New York, where it was presumed that the NextGen total had dropped from 11 to 3 units. However, they were merely out of service for maintenance, and none of the units were retired, not even 4516. Nevertheless, let that serve as a warning not to wait until the last minute to find equipment that you want to catch. 2015 Prevosts 2598 and 2609 went from Yukon to Eastchester, bringing their total to 12 white Prevosts listed here: 2503, 06, 44, 73-74, 2598, 2609, 92, 96, 2728, 2730, and 2758. These were quite astounding to see on the BXM6 through BXM10 routes, an unthinkable occurrence. However, this unique era may be coming to an end, as 2503, 2696, 2728, and 2730 have already been sent to Omer Park as of October, with 2609, 2692, and 2758 also being sent to Omer Park after never having seen service at Eastchester. This gave Omer a slightly newer Prevost fleet and left Eastchester with 5 white Prevosts, all 2500s, those being 2506, 2544, 2573-74, and 2598. 2703 was also falsely reported to be there when it was actually sent to the East New York CMF. Although some white Prevosts are returning to New York City Transit, the 2013 MCIs look like they're all there to stay at MTA Bus. We also had a few maintenance moves take place, not as many as July and August, thankfully. Thanks to the New York City Transit transfers to MTA Bus, helped by the arrival of the 2025 Prevosts and the ex-New Jersey Transit MCIs, several 2005-07 MCI D4500CLs were able to be retired at the 4 MTA bus depots which still utilize them. At Eastchester, MCIs 3279, 3289, 3393, 95, 3428, 33, and 55 were retired. At Yonkers, MCIs 3082, 3277, 3304, 3351, and 3437 were retired. At College Point, MCIs 3230, 3262, 3310, 3399, 3460, and 3462 were retired. At Spring Creek, MCI 3325 was retired. 18 D4500CLs were retired over September and early October. With 3082's retirement, Yonkers no longer has 2005 MCIs, and only 3 3000 series D4500CLs remain active in the system, those being 3020, 3040, and 3066. The lone 2021 Prevosts began to return to MTA Bus. 1406, 14-15, 1418-1420, and 1422 returned from Castleton to Eastchester. 1387, 89, and 99 returned from Charleston to Eastchester, while 1465 returned from Charleston to Yonkers. Overall, 11 2021 Prevosts returned to MTA Bus. Castleton's stolen Prevost count was diminished from 7 to 0 between August and September. These were some of the first units to return to their respective depots. By the end of September, Castleton had 32 blue and gold Prevosts left, 12 from Meredith, and 20 new 2025 units. Charleston went from 16 stolen Prevosts to 12, 1396, 1402, 04, 58, 62, 67, 1472-73, 81, 83, 85, and 87. In total, they had 53 blue and gold Prevosts by the end of September, 12 stolen from MTA Bus, 15 ex-Meredith, and 23 options. No 2025 units had arrived yet. They didn't get 2025 units until October 7th, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. The last 5 MCI D4500CTs left at Charleston, 2290, 92, 95, and 2298-99, went to Queens Village after being fixed up at LaGuardia. 2295 was the last MCI to leave Charleston, doing so on September 10th, and went to Queens Village on September 17th. These transfers allowed Queens Village to send 2008 MCIs, 2196, 2205, and 2223-2224 to College Point by September 19th, ending their 2008 MCI era and leaving them with 33 2013 MCIs. 2217 was used as a parts bus at College Point to fix up the other CTs, while 2228 out of Queens Village was retired. And thus, Queens Village's 2008 D4500CT era was annihilated while College Point's was kindled. 2289 was still at the East New York CMF and hadn't been assigned to a depot yet. 2015-16 Prevosts 2630 and 2756 were given to Queens Village, bringing their Prevost count to 4 units, joining 2676 and 2688, which went to the depot in August. Their plan seems to be to give Queens Village some Prevosts in order to expand their fleet or possibly send more 2013 MCIs to MTA Bus. We'll stay tuned on that front as more 2025 Prevosts arrive at New York City Transit. Ex-New Jersey Transit MCIs 2202 and 2208 were delivered to Spring Creek. That leaves 2 ex-New Jersey Transit MCIs left to be repainted and left to enter service, those being 2203 and 2207. 2217 and 2228, which transferred from Queens Village to Spring Creek, were used for parts and then retired. 2217 was then sent to Zerega, then to College Point, and then was retired again. Castleton received new 2025 Prevosts 1634, 37, and 43, bumping their total from 17 to 20 new 2025 Prevosts 1630 to 1649. They transferred their 3 remaining 2012 Prevosts received from Omer Park, 2451, 2462, and 2476, to Yukon Depot. ending Castleton's 2012 Prevost era and making the 2012 Prevost exclusive to Yukon and Omer Park. Yukon received 1651 and 1654-55, bringing their total to 6 new Prevosts at the time. Here were the newly delivered 2025 Prevosts as of September 2025. 26 units have rolled in by this point. Here were the 2008 and 2013 MCI D4500CT assignments as of September. Queens Village and Spring Creek were tied for MCI D4500CTs. They both had 33 units. 2289 was out here wandering somewhere. College Point was just getting the 08s, which was so unprecedented. The first CT to run out of College Point was 2196 on the QM2 in the AM rush hour of September 23, 2025. Then through late September and early October, it basically just blitzed the College Point routes. 2205 was later formally assigned to College Point as well, but it hasn't entered service as of this recording. And we still got those 2 pending units that haven't been converted yet. 9 CTs at Yonkers, 10 at Eastchester. And as you will see, Queens Village no longer has 08 units. They essentially only have 2013 units. And Spring Creek is holding on to the majority of the 08 CTs that came from New Jersey Transit. They have 11 out of the 15 units, with College Point having 2, formerly Queens Village, and 2 being pending. So if you want to catch those units, Spring Creek is the place to go, with 2198 having a gigantic sign. That is so weird. I wonder if they gutted one of the 2013 MCIs for it to have that gigantic sign like that. That's a 2013 sign, that's not a 2008 sign. Here were some notable runs which took place in September. Most of them were next gens, pretty cool. And as for damaged units, C40LF 314 at West Farms got stuck on a barrier on September 2nd, but was able to return to service on September 19th as the damage was not severe. Flatbush XD40 7356 returned to service on September 26 on the B41 after being out of service since its accident on April 26, 2025 on the B46. XD40 7922 out of East New York, which got into a front crushing accident on May 10th, has gone to Fresh Pond as of September 9th for repairs. That's also the day when my notorious summer hook happened. A summer hook is a canonically bad event which happens to you right before the summer ends. XN60 1012 returned to service on June 16th in the local scheme after being out of service for 2 years due to an accident in December 2023 with a sanitation truck. LFSA 5449, which got into an accident at Hale back in December 2024, got fixed at Zerega and returned to Quill on August 31st, 2025. It is now back in service, and who could forget JFK's XD60 5371 falling off the lift at the depot on July 2nd. It hasn't run since July 1st. Here's a list of accidents which occurred in 2023. As you can see, it's a lot. Gun Hill and Gleason both had 19 accidents, while my depot Manhattanville had 8. JFK and Far Rockaway had a combined total of 15 accidents, and there were at least 221 documented accidents that year. Staten Island had very little accidents in 2023, while Meredith had no accidents at all. What a go-to depot. Gone too soon. We always lose the best ones first. Here was a list of bus breakdowns for 2024. Credit to Skyview New York City for the list. Good grief, these drivers can't drive at all to save their lives. Here's another list from the New York City Transit Info server showing Gun Hill at 112 breakdowns and also showing some other breakdown rates for various depots, also including Brooklyn and Staten Island in this list here. Here were some of the earliest accidents of 2025, with 4200 being one of the earliest casualties. That was a next gen at East New York that has since retired. I don't know if a full list of accidents will come out for 2025, nor am I sure if I'll be willing or able to cover it. The list I'm showing you right now are just breakdowns for a few days in 2025. Is the MTA's fleet going down the tubes? Is maintenance getting worse? Yes. There's no excuse for this at all. Well, you know what they say. They don't make them like they used to. Newer buses are not built with the same integrity as older buses were, and they're not built for these streets at all. They will get damaged and they will break down. Finally, last but not least, here were some great clusterfuck lists that were sent to me by fellow contributors in the Next Stop News discussion channel. Shout out to them for doing so, much appreciated. Especially shout out to Name Oak Boulevard, Inwood 207th Street for providing most of the lists. I appreciate it. 7066 and 7079, two third gens, were among the buses sent to LaGuardia for repairs from Staten Island. 2010 LFSA 1261 got fixed up at Zerega and returned to service, along with 1211 back in June. However, now that the 2025 XD60s are beginning to roll in and eventually take over in the Bronx and Manhattan, as well as Casey, Stengel, and Queens, those 2010 Novas can kiss their butts goodbye, especially with XE60 5603 beginning to touch base with Quill routes. Hopefully that XE60 can do well. However, it hasn't been seen since September 15th on the M86. It's been out of service for over 2 months as of the time of this video's release. Finally, last but not least, 2012 new Flyer XD60 4732 has been out of service since August 19th due to a fire on the Q12 and was deemed to be retired on November 7th. It was the second XD60 to be retired due to fire damage in the 2012 XD60 class, with the first being 4799 out of Gun Hill in 2019, a unit which never got to see service in Brooklyn or Queens. Well, that's all I have for now. Thank you all for tuning in. Until October, I guess. I'm almost caught up. I'm trying. I am trying.